Americans typically think of themselves as apple pie loving, baseball watching, and even jazz listening people who are good. They don't view themselves the way that the rest of the world views them, which is as economically imperialistic, militaristic, and misogynistic. For this project, the definition of militarism comes from the World Council of Churches, which defines militarism as the result of the process of militarization in which military values, ideology, and pattern of behavior achieve a dominating influence on the political, social, economic, and external affairs of the state, and as a consequence, the structural, ideological, and behavioral patterns of both the society and the government become militarized. As you can see in this map, America is quite militaristic by the number of their invasions, and many regular Americans aren't aware of that, which leads us to the role of women in the military. Women have typically taken on secondary support roles to men in the military. They've done things like the crop corps and factory work, but their work isn't valued as much as that of men. They work as nurses and not as soldiers. But that is starting to change. But women that do join the military are still judged by their male peers and labeled as lesbians or prostitutes, and they are sexually harassed and slandered by their male colleagues, which seems wrong. Here you can see some female soldiers. And the military needs to marginalize women in order to reassert its masculine identity. And one of the ways to accomplish this is to assert that all women are useful only to serve men's sexual needs, which is why there's so much prostitution. For example, this is an ad for a club in Korea, which is more like a brothel. And men are supposed to go there to let off steam. And women are disproportionately harmed by militarism in war. In war, women are raped and forced into sexual slavery as a deliberate tactic. Domestic violence increases dramatically in war zones as well. It's very wrong. This photo is of a woman that used to be a Korean comfort woman, and now she's out there doing activism. And we saw a video with her in class. Rapes in war are generally public so that the community and primarily enemy men will know that what has been done to their women. It takes place during war and is based on the fact that women are symbolic representation of the motherland, the nation, and assault on them is assault on the entire people, which is why they're organizing to go out there and make a difference and fight government-sponsored prostitution. Around 80% of all refugees are women and their children fleeing armed conflict. In peacetime, women are disproportionately affected by the loss of social services as resources are diverted to the armed services. This is a child in a refugee camp who is fleeing a war-torn country. And it's no wonder that somebody would flee when there are tanks in the street. It's a very scary situation to live through. And women are disproportionately harmed, and so are their children. How would it be to hold your dying child? And the sad part is that less than 19 days of global military expenditure is all it would take to meet the additional cost of providing access to adequate food, clean water, and safe sewers, basic health care, reproductive health care for women, and the basic education of everyone around the world. The U.S. spends almost half as much as the entire rest of the world on the military. And much of that money goes to building new weapons. These pictures are from depleted uranium tumors that children got from the first Gulf War. These better weapons could actually be feeding other people instead of killing them, which is why people are organizing, like Okinawa women against militarism. They're out there trying to get rid of military bases in their local communities because they see how detrimental it is. For every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies the final sense of theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and not clothed. In America, there's a huge homeless problem, especially for women and children. These poor children and women did nothing to deserve this, and they could all be clothed, which is why there's out there people marching for peace, women out there that see the unintended consequences of war upon women who are out there making a difference. out there trying to get their voices heard, because there is such amazing amount of money and resources diverted into operating all these military bases across the world. What America do we want to live in? The America that people fear with guns, or the one that is apple pie? As long as war is considered a man's work, the suffering of women in war will be ignored, and their contribution to the search for peace and resolution of conflicts will be undermined. Like their exclusion from the masculine domain of the military, the denial of their experience in war also excludes them from existing power structures. We don't want these people to fear us. We want everything to work out. And women will continue to be oppressed socially and politically until we recognize the roles traditionally associated with women as being among the most important in our society and not just secondary to those of men. Thank you.